So this is the TKinter library in Python, and in this video I'll just be showing the basic commands that you'll be using in different TKinter projects. So let's start with our imports. So we start with from TKinter import star. So what this does is that, for example, to make a window in the TKinter library, so the window is kind of like a user interface screen. So to make a window, we would, if you didn't import the star, maybe let's do from TKinter import TK. So then to make a window, it would be tk.tk. So that's how you would make a window. But to make our life easier, we import TKinter as a star, which prevents us from having to write this tk dot over and over. So to make a window, we write window is equal to tk and then parentheses. Next, we look at our window geometry. So what the window geometry does is that it can enlarge a user interface screen or decrease it. So over here, my window geometry is set to 300 by 300. Now let's get into the actual basic commands. So there are 4 different type of things that you can place on the screen. There are labels, entries, buttons, and some pop-ups. So I'll be going through each of the 4 of them, explaining what they are and how to code them. So let's start with labels. So a label is like a static piece of text on a screen. It's not going to move, you can't press it or you can't change it, nothing like that. It's just going to stay on the screen. So to do that, let's look at this line over here. We're going to do L is equal to label, and then we place it on our window. So we place it on the screen with the text being equal to hi. So we can also change the color of the text and the background of the label, and I will be showing all of that in another video with practical applications of TKinter. Whenever you want a label or entry to show up on the screen, you need to place it onto your window, otherwise it's not going to show up. So over here, we have L.grid row equal to 0 and column equal to 0. So what L.grid does is that it's placing the label onto the user interface. So with .grid, you need to remember that you can't just set the row equal to 1 without having anything in row 0. So if you do that, it's just going to push everything to row 0. So you need to start off with row 0 and column 0. Now let's look at entries. So for entries, what they are is that they are kind of like a text box, and you can put anything into the text box. So for the entry, we are looking at this line over here. We're going to do E is equal to entry, and then the entry is going to go on our user interface called window. And then we need to place the entry onto the screen so that it actually shows up on our TKinter window. So we do E.grid, row equal to 1, column equal to 0. Next up, we have buttons. Buttons are obviously it's a button on the screen, but you can also put text on it. You can change the color of the text and the color of the button. So over here, we do B is equal to button, then we place it on our window, and then the text on the button is going to say hi. Now to actually place the button onto the window, it's the same thing with B.grid. We're going to set the row to 2 and the column to 0. Finally, for our pop-ups, there are 2 types of pop-ups, but with pop-ups you have to do something special. You need to import message box from the TKinter library. So you do that by saying from TKinter import message box. So down here we have our code for our 2 message boxes. So there are 2 types of message box. One is show info, the second one is show warning. Okay, so now let's look at our 2 pop-ups. So the first pop-up that we can have is messagebox.showInfo, and the second one is messagebox.showWarning. So this is the code for it right over here. Let's look at messagebox.showInfo first. So the first string we have over here, which is still hi, that's going to be like the title of the message box. And the second one is going to be like the actual message that it's trying to convey. The second line over here is the messagebox.showWarning. The first string will still be the title of that message box, and the second string will be like the message that's inside of the message box. So now let's run this all together. So we're going to run the code. Okay. Alright, so this thing that pops up over here, this is our message box. So this says hi, which is our message box.showInfo. Next we're going to click OK. So now this is our message box.showWarning. See how it has like this caution symbol? That's how you can tell those two apart. So this is our no hi, which is our warning message box. Now we click OK. So this over here is our window. So the window has a label. So this hi at the top over here, that's the label. Now the second part is the entry. So I can write whatever I want in the entry. And then the third one is our button. So I can click the button, but it won't do anything yet. So the last thing with all of this is that these all together can be like tied up with different functions. So I will be showing that in more like practical applications of TKinter. Now the final thing that you might be wondering is, how is this even useful in the real world? That's what I wondered when I first started TKinter, and I think the biggest practical application that I can think of is this. So let's run our module again. And okay, it shows us this message box, right? So remember how this message box looks, okay? And now let's change something over here. Say I change this to like hi. Okay, so I changed my code. Now it's going to ask me to save again. So when I run the module, so the pop-up that we had in our code looks the exact same as the pop-up over here. That's because Python idle is coded using TKinter.